Welcome to the Scrabble stream. This is the Sunday Sixes tournament. It's the group that we typically play with, sometimes to run 8 or 10 or 12 rounds, but today is just a short session with 6. And unfortunately, it seems like my opponent for the first round actually did not show up, so we may be getting a forfeit win on round 1. Rather than stare at this screen for the next 20 minutes or so, let's observe one of the other groups instead and see if there's an interesting game going on. So let me just switch to the observer mode for a moment. And we'll see how they're doing here in this game. There's a bingo right here on this rack. I actually do see a place for it. If you have something like Haunter, it'll go down here. It's a bit hard to see because you have to know the NY over here. You may also be perhaps taking a look at some other possibilities. For example, off of BAH, you've got a T coming down as well. If there is anything that I can see off the top of my head, obviously a lot of things can kind of start there as well with the T as the second or third tile. Lots of possibilities actually, depending on how far you want to go down. For example, I like to play a Haunter over here. It's possible to maybe go a little bit lower with something like Unearth. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, oh, he's going to go Eurethan over here. That's an interesting choice because it doesn't take an S on the end, I don't think. And it's positioned in such a way that the major vulnerability would be the spot next to the E for something like an X-bomb. And that actually drew a challenge, so that's an extra 5 there as well. So yeah, it's been confirmed that I have a forfeit win for round 1. So we will spend the rest of round 1 just observing today. Anyway, I am looking at the rack currently. I'm trying to see if I can solve something that would be available for the player who's currently on turn. Usually when you get this kind of rack, you immediately think of things like the over prefix. I actually think there were some plays that were possible there. But we didn't look at it that closely. Anyway, so this rack currently has a ton of 7s on it. Whether anything will fit here, of course, is a different question. I do see aversions for the E. Oh, there was a challenge there. What even was there? Oh yeah, RA was invalid. You really have to watch your 2s when you're playing online because sometimes you have some problems that can occur with that. Notice that the E hotspot remains open for something to go down there and hit at some point. I'm kind of wondering if there's still something that's possible on the current rack. Because I can think of a couple of words that begin with over that would be 8s, but they don't seem to fit on the board currently. Yeah, so a bit of an update on what's going on my end. I've been awarded the forfeit win already, but it seems like my opponent that was scheduled for the first round finally showed up quite late. We probably still won't be playing that simply because things have progressed this far already. And, well, let's see what's going on here. I wonder if there was something on that previous rack. I was still looking at that, and I think it was close to seeing something, but a little bit difficult with that many vowels plus the Y. So yeah, we'll see if we wind up playing the round one after all. But no, it seems like we are still awarded the forfeit win for round one. That's the current ruling. So yeah, unfortunately, we'll just be showing 5 rounds today, but that's okay. Anyway, this game is looking like a pretty clear blowout. Despite the all consonant rack that's the case right now. If there is an exchange, I would expect the X to be kept because, of course, there is the possibility of EXO down here. If this game is looking like a total blowout, we might tap over to some of the other boards in case there's a close endgame situation to look at. But the thing is, with only half the game through, sometimes a 200-point lead isn't actually completely secure. Things do happen in Scrabble. So yeah, that was an exchange that, as expected, keeps the X and keeps the S. S and X aren't going to synergize that well together, but the thing is, there is a pretty clear S hook spot just at the end of Investor that could potentially be occupied. You wouldn't want to throw the S in this kind of situation when you're way ahead and trying to keep board control, I think. Now this rack here, you got 5 vowels and not a very promising combination of them for anything, even using the blank. You'd want to keep the board open. This kind of obstructs a little bit. I don't know about that. I was about to suggest another possibility, but yeah, because with shaping the board this way, it doesn't actually improve your chances of bingoing with that blank. I think there were probably different plays available there when it came to stretching out a little further and opening some space on the board using a vowel dump. You know, even if you just went aioli over here, for instance, if you had I-L-O, I-O-L-I, for instance, that would keep AO blank. Not great, but yeah, as you can see, now things are just progressing with the player in the lead just taking a points off of another all-consonant draw out of the all-consonant exchange. At the very least, you can fit rollies over here, R-O-L-L-I-E-S. It's not really that great in terms of score. It's not going to really set up on a winning path when you're over 200 points behind at this stage, I think. So I wonder if there's maybe something that would be a little more promising. Blank doesn't need to be an S, of course, if you have something a little better. I'm trying to see if maybe there would be anything. I don't think there's a front hook on Ra up here, so that's just completely closed off. But ideally, you'd want to bingo in a way that opens up space for another one afterwards, so you try to draw well and follow up. Yeah, and he does it with rollies. Of course, you have to watch your clock sometimes too, and also consider that, well, both Bs are already placed. So you're not going to have Brollies as in umbrellas up here. I believe it does take, yeah, a T, of course, for trolleys. Would hook up there as well if you wanted to open up some space with a T. And yeah, rather than trying to save up for an X-bomb or something here with no vowels in that rack or with only one vowel, only the I, naturally to play was to just take the points and get some tiles here that are potentially a little awkward to play through. Not sure what to do here. Maybe even, I mean, if you're 200 points behind at this stage with 32 in the bag, it's not unthinkable, but you definitely need to open a bit more space. And probably maybe playing something through here. I prefer Lloyd instead of Lido because then if you have a D in the last position, that's a little more promising for trying to bingo to one of the other triples, for instance. But, oh, that's interesting. Keeping CDIIL, yeah. I don't think that was particularly helpful. And then somebody's going to fall up here at some point. And yeah, now you have this difficult situation. So anyway, this game looks like it's just going to be a very clear blowout. I'm going to tap over to the other boards for a moment just to see if we have a closer ending to look at. And if this turns into a miracle comeback for some reason, then it does. But, oh, one of them is done already, actually. One of the groups is already done. So we'll just go to the other table that's still active. This is a little closer. Oh, it's just 3 in the bag. And yeah, no, this one's already kind of settled as well. But you can see there's a bit of an effort here to see if there's a path. I'm just trying to look at where the possible outs would be for the other player holding AAR. And yeah, AAR a little bit awkward, but you just need basically 2 outs available. For example, you know, even just simple things like Tara over here, TARA. And you can even just take points here with FRA and probably outrun any play that's going to go here. I would assume that there's nothing that's going to be a bingo that's possible on this rack, certainly not on this board. And so any kind of non-bingo is likely going to be outrun anyway with a play over the X. Although you could, if you're trying to close and spread, just have a play over the X, like having ROW here, making REOXWE. That scores quite a lot. That closed some distance, although you see the player's gone over time at this point. And of course, that would kind of concede that your opponent could just go out, and so you wouldn't really necessarily be thinking about out in 2, so I kind of get the sense that that might be optimal. We can actually see how many points that is. It's 45 points. So yeah, this one looks like it's over then. So just going to look at the game log here to see how they did. There's one thing that was quite nice about that aging interface in the Internet Scrabble Club, which was the Java app that people played on for the longest time before Wiggles came up. And there are some people actually still hanging out there that didn't migrate over. But one thing that they did have on ISC was that you would have color-coded boards where you would have one player's moves and tiles all shown in red and the other player's tiles that were played on a board all shown in blue. So even if you were a latecomer as an observer, you could see exactly who played what. I actually don't know if there's a mode like that was built into Wiggles for observing purposes. But that's something I should look up and check. Anyway, so yeah, this one was over. That one didn't turn out to be too interesting from what we saw at the end, but of course we didn't really manage to follow that very closely. If the games are just over, we should set up a round 2, of course. It looks like the last one is still going. This was the board that we didn't look at here. Looks like that was within a 30-point spread, so that might have been interesting. Very interesting. Weaseled. That looks like it hit pretty hard, actually. Let's see how many points that was. Oh, actually, yeah, Weasel went down for 72, and then the D was actually just tagged on as a single tile on an all-consonant rack at the end, which was an interesting choice, just to take that possibility off instead of exchanging this all-consonant rack with a Q. That's an interesting decision for sure. And I guess that depends on what the scoreline was at the time, too, whether there were too many possibilities. And that player got out of Q trouble with Kindar over here on the next turn anyway, with a fairly fortunate A draw, it seems. So yeah, let's go back for a moment. Just watch the ending of the game that's still ongoing, which we were observing earlier. Yeah, like we were saying, clear blow at nearly a 300-point margin of victory, in fact, so not close at all. However, we do need to wait for this one to finish before I can play my first round of the day, so let me just update the record to show that we had the forfeit win. And we'll be heading on to actually getting to play today very shortly, I hope. Yeah, because the opponent I was assigned for the first round did eventually show up, but it was over 10 minutes late, and at that point, particularly with how slow I play when I'm streaming this game, it would have absolutely held up the proceedings for everybody else. So, I mean, anyway, the last play has already gone down. This is the director who's on turn right now. He actually just needs to pass on the last play. It's 0 tiles left, so. Actually, don't know why he hasn't. He's probably distracted by other windows or something. But yeah, this game is effectively over as well then. So let's just go back for now. And we'll wait. So yeah, I was awarded a 100-point spread win for the first game just for the purposes of the standings. So haven't really earned that yet, but with all games going, We'll take a moment here to wait for the assignments for the next round, and then we'll finally get to play. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we can look over some of the other boards again, perhaps. See if anything really came up. So there are two divisions that are going on in the format today. Oh, we'll get to play finally. Okay, great. So let's get going. I'll be going first. Let me just make sure we don't have any fives that we would want in order to drop the X in a hotspot. And I'm thinking we may really just play off tucks or something too. It's not a great leave on that, but I want to get rid of the U for sure. I guess we can just take the points out of it. It's not a great use of the X though, that's the thing. And it might even be better to undouble the N. So would we rather get rid of the U or undouble the N? I actually think that we want to undouble the N, because that looks a little bit better in spite of keeping the U. And then the O could be an OUT start, but it's almost certainly going to be blocked up next turn anyway, so don't like spending the X this way, but do what we can. We'll have to play off a lot more tiles this turn, though. Maybe the first turn should have been an exchange, to be honest. Given the value of the X and the possibility of scoring better later on. Let me just make sure we're able to draw on the board. So yeah, unfortunately, depending on how tightly parallel my opponent plays and given the position of the X, we might have something parallel like that. I have a bit of a problem here, which is that we don't really have a lot of places to play. We might even just go something like Runt over here just to get rid of stuff. It's only 14. That's okay. The scores are fairly low so far. We really do need to get out of this situation. I'm trying to see if maybe there's something better that's GNR. No, we want nice high turnover, I think, on this one. The R is positioned in such a way that there could be some double-double possibilities through it. We have wrinkled through the L, but it will not fit. If another L comes out somewhere, then we'll see what we can do with it. But yeah, FY, that kind of tells me it's a consonant heavy rack on that. And the F positioning, of course, permits another really heavy Y play, potentially. Yeah, too bad wrinkled isn't going to fit there. We shouldn't fixate on it too much. Let's see what we can do. I actually wonder if maybe we have something here to go to the G that would hit that top spot. Or something that would go through the E, or actually, I have something starting with one of the vowels here that would be decent. Not really, unless it's something just like inked. 36. You know what? We'll take the points. Okay, so I don't think there's a 7 in this that I can see immediately, but there are some 8 possibilities. Enter war through T, which isn't available, but we'll be on the lookout for that. Should always think about the where ending as well. Ironware through O. That's not available either. But yeah, we'll look out for dangling tiles that will actually help. If it's not available, obviously the thing that we want to do is undouble the R for sure. Probably play out WR and something else. Okay, so yeah, nothing's going to be given to me here. And let me just make sure you have other stuff like Bronnier from B, which isn't available. I'm just making sure we don't have anything else that we haven't considered when it comes to 8s. Well, if that's the case, I think we just go raw over here. And that's a pretty strong leave that we're keeping. And well, that's unfortunate. Drawing all E's all at once. I was about to say that we have the N to go under fa for fun, but now we have a bit of a problem. We'll see if we want to change out of it, actually. Or if we want to open up space just by playing off 2 E's somewhere. Or even just play off Erie. So, for example, over here, keeping REN, that's not bad, despite the E kind of inviting a big consonant play going to that triple on the left. I mean, we are holding in R as well if we want to just play Erie off somewhere and keep NE. Choir is going to be there. I can't really do much about that. That does dangle an S spot up above it, of course. And I don't think we have anything that will go here with the E. There's no E near it, it's Inseer, but unless there's something that, yeah, anything we play that is a 6 would have to use 3 E's minimum, so. Let's see what we can do with this. Well, yeah, none of the other spots that I'm considering for that are very useful here. We might just go with an EE play somewhere. I don't like it, though. So we could open space with 2 E's that we play off somewhere, or we can actually just change 3. I actually think I'll change 3. I think that gets us in the best position for the next turn. And there we go. Okay. This is probably something playable. I am thinking about the D. We have oriented to the D. I want to see if there's another possibility, though, in case that gets blocked. Fives. Okay, let's be diligent about this and make sure that we don't have anything better going from the F. I think we just play oriented. I'm behind by quite a bit right now, but this will catch me up. And then we may be able to do something off of the S spot above quires for squires. But we'll see. Because we have Jasmine's through an N, but I don't see an N for it, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, the N is not available. I am, of course, trying to see if we would have a big play off of here. That would be a 6. I don't see one, though. Yeah, we're looking at the S spot up here as well in case there's something that presents itself. So we'll see what happens. I am definitely considering just going James over here because you're not going to be able to parallel over to J. You might be able to play through to J to score with it, but you know, even if you dump an A and an I would add G or something there, but you can't parallel over it, so it's not vulnerable to that at least. How much is just Jism 35? It's actually not bad, despite the position there. Not quite hitting the double word score, it still scores reasonably well. Keeping AES. So that's strongly under consideration at the moment. The other thing is James could go over here for 51. I like that, actually. I think I like that best. The J will give back some points on the triple on the left, but I think often the trade-off with having a ×4 on a J and giving back a ×3 on it may actually be worth it. And having IS out of that is really not bad. I kind of feel like that's first choice right now. Let's just go James on the bottom spot. And if it's taken, then we'll consider Jism for 35 up top. Because I don't think we'd sacrifice 16 points just to get AES over IS. Given that the eyes are actually being depleted at a decent rate, and we shouldn't ideally be drowning in them. So we'll see. A bit of a long turn on my opponent's side. Mang, welcome. Yeah, so I think we have a clear first and second choice at the moment. Oh, actually, I didn't consider just going jam up here for 41. I like that. I might even like that best in terms of that not giving back too many points, closing up on top if we're ahead. and still keeping a bit of a bingo-worthy lead. I actually think that might be best. But we'll have to look at what my opponent is doing first. So yeah, I'm liking jam as first choice now. I don't even mind that we're keeping the duplicate S out of that because positionally I think it just makes too much sense. We still have the S's available to take the squire spot. There's one S remaining in the pool, so we're holding 2 out of 3 of the remaining S's. 2 blanks still available, of course. But there's a lot that an S can get done on this board. You got potential 6s over here. You got the S spot up here. And so, yeah, I'm liking jam as first choice now. And man, you're going to have some jam for breakfast. I mean, maybe it'll be a 41-point breakfast if the opponent leaves it open. We'll see what's taking them so long, though, because they might be considering a big play, perhaps. I had considered that we might just go something like Aji's here for 38. Actually, that's not great. Takes the H in front with 1 H remaining. And it doesn't really score that much better than something like Jism. We're keeping AES rather than MES. Although with the... And actually the problem with doing squires there is that it is still vulnerable to an E hook up top with S squires. Now actually that's kind of a point in our favor in some ways because we're keeping an E. And here you could have something like an ME start over here for Esquires, but it's also entirely possible my opponent takes it first, right? Especially with my having thrown 3 E's in a bag. Followed by them playing 5 tiles. Pretty decent turnover on that. Anyway, very long turn on their part. So, we'll see what we get hit with. And see if we can reverse engineer what's going on here. Of course, best possibility would be if we have an N dangled out in the middle of nowhere for me to play Jasmine's. But in no way am I expecting that. It does not look like it's something that would happen very naturally given the state of the board. You would need some kind of play down here that just drops an N low enough. I don't really see that happening until... And actually, yeah, I don't really see that happening unless my opponent has a bingo of his own for that kind of thing. It's hard to imagine what other kind of play would actually give me the N in the position I need for Jasmine's. I absolutely don't see it happening. So yeah, they're burning time like crazy here. He's Zoic. Oh yeah, must have been a hard call with a Z then. We need to be a little bit diligent about this. Let's make sure I don't have anything that would drop to J on the big spot on the left side. I don't see it. I think we try to close up a bit and go jam as planned. I'm just making sure. Yeah, my opponent just said their network was acting up, so hopefully, well, I mean, they burned a lot of time, so they'll just have to play fast. Okay, so we'll see if there's anything that we can do here. Show here. I actually think we would do something like Dad's here. Again, we still have Esquire available to go up top, and At this point, I actually do want to open up a spot like that for myself to potentially catch up. So I'm liking that idea. There is the possibility that my opponent will take it first, of course. But let's look at this carefully. I do not think I have a 7 on this rack. But maybe I should look at this possibly a little closer before I commit to saying that. Seaside? No, not quite. Too many D's. Yeah, the bottom will kind of need to open up at some point. Because right now the board is being a little bit exhausted there. So the issue with dads, of course, is that, or even just ads, IES. I'm trying to see if there's a better way I can do this so we don't force ourselves to have an E start on the Esquire spot. But I think we probably just have to do this, and we're going to be keeping a little vowel heavy, so maybe we have an E start up top. The problem is that that becomes our only lane, basically. Let me just make sure there's nothing through the U or something that I'm missing here. I don't think so. I think we go either ads or dads or... Unless I have something better. Yeah, I kind of want to open up the bottom as well, but no, we'll go with this. Okay, great. Unfortunately, I don't think I have something that will go on Esquires up top. There are, of course, lots of other things. I wonder if... No, I'm thinking embroils, not emboils. Embolism through an M. Let's be careful about this because the thing is, it is possible, I think, that we might have something with an E start, which is what we're looking for. The B does kind of get in the way at the moment. We should also consider still whether there is something through O, or through U, rather. Okay, I think we actually go like this, obol down here, then we open 2 lanes. Unless I can see something, I should look at parallels up here, actually. Or what I was looking at, boilers, reboils, etc. I'm thinking, is bolides good? Or am I thinking borides? Yeah, this is so close to being something on the top lane, but I just cannot see it. Obelias. Obelias. Does it go? It doesn't go. Obelisk. I don't think it's going to be emboils. I'm almost certainly thinking of embroils. I think we have to open up. I don't want to burn time on this. I want to Open it up. I feel like we missed something this turn. Wait. Let's take a look at the E over here. Hang on. Any 8s from that E or through the E? Yeah, I see so many things that are possible and they're just not going to fit. What was I thinking? Obelias, obelisk, boilers, reboils. Okay, we need to open up. I'm burning too much time. Okay, this should hit. Now the thing is, do I have anything up top? And even if I don't, I should be able to get something on the bottom here. Okay, Esquire's spot is blocked. That's fine, that's fine. For sure we should be able to hit something this turn, though. I just don't have much time to look at elections. Okay, that puts me ahead, but not by very much. Time is going to be of the essence here. 8 in the bag. In terms of vulnerabilities on the board right now, this is a consonant spot that might need to be taken care of. I might actually take it with a small play like BUN or something, or BUT actually, because we're having the case N right now, the last end in the bag, in the pool rather. Even something like a butt, if there's nothing too heavy that can go on top of the AI, and there isn't right now. I don't like keeping 2 eyes like that, but they are the last eyes currently. Also notice that this is available up here, or even tubing if we don't want to keep the U. I guess it will depend on the pool. Okay, Grapey, unfortunately, that's going to score pretty heavily. However, tub for 30, I actually like that. It does empty the bag. Now, the problem is, are we worried about a bingo like something like operate of my opponent? I actually think if we play off an additional tile, then we're holding 6. I'm trying to see if we can actually play a little bit heavier here too, for the sake of endgame timing. Bingos aren't going to happen on this board, I don't think, unless it's through the U. Now, there are possibilities that are the OUT bingos in that spot. That's what I'm a little worried about at the moment. Something starting OUT up here. I'm looking at the available tiles, though, and I actually don't think that will be the case. So we have a couple possibilities. We go biting up here for 24. That will draw into 5 tiles, but it is pretty vowel heavy, and we could be stuck with lots of vowels. But B is also, you know, we might even go uniting. No, I don't have the other N. Okay. So we go tuba here. I don't like keeping I, and then feel like that is going to hamper our ability to go out. But the problem of going biting here is that we lose that leverage that we have with the B over the Y. So do we keep AU, potentially doubling the A if we draw into it? I think we need to do this quickly. Yeah. Now, the thing is, we might be able to get rid of this stuff in 2 plays. AINEE, for instance, is a word. And we might be able to find some decent parallels out of this as well. And my opponent's out of time. It's kind of too bad that they apparently had network issues in that end, but I'm also way down on time, so. I'm seeing some possibilities. Ian for 12 down here, that's not very much. Bean for 20 here. As long as, well, I don't want to keep oh, Potter, very nice. Okay. Oh, and then keeping the R. Yeah, we're actually potentially in trouble here. Unless I can figure out something really quickly. That's a -3 on that. Now, the thing is, how much can they actually score with that I? I might have to just play something quick like this. 14, keeping 2. I need to do something. Oh, no, I went over. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to lose. By going over by a second. Okay. Oh, you know what? I probably missed some possibilities going E before this for elections. Yeah, I'm going to lose this. Because my opponent just needs to play the R anywhere and I lose. And so. That's too bad. I totally blew that one. Okay. Like going just slightly over. So I actually lost on time. I actually lost by going over by a second. I guess all's fair because my opponent and I both took the time penalty. But that was too bad. That was absolutely a blown game at the very end there. It's so close that I will probably want to look at this one in the analyzer afterwards, so I'm going to request a computer analysis for it, but let me just update the record first, and I will need to get into round 3 in just a moment. So, but just to save time for later, because we'll want to look at it, we'll ask for this one. Anyway, let's play the next one. Sneezer. Although, am I really going to put Sneezer in the spot where it invites another S? Am I really going to do that? I don't think I will, because so this is what I'm looking at. But of course, somebody could just drop another S on the end there to make another massive play. I don't think I can afford to do that. That's so risky. But am I able to... Oh, I can just go rezones or something. I don't know if rezones takes anything in front. I don't think it does. It had better not. Like, I don't think you can pre-zone something. Okay. Now, I don't like having the double I here, so we'll see what we can do with that. Okay. Meme over here. Let's see if there's something I can do. I'm thinking of making sure we can just get some stuff out. Maybe I can do something else to get rid of the instead. I'm trying to remember if this is good in this lexicon because HUIC is valid. I think it is. It takes a bunch of stuff at the end too. That's 21, 27. Or do we have something that would go bottom here as a 6? I think we take it. Still a little heavy on the eyes. Yeah, we'll look at the computer analysis for the round 2 game later. So yeah, it takes the C and an A at the end at the very least. So we need to watch out for that. And then for this rec, well, we're just too heavy on vowels right now. We just need to get rid of some of this stuff. I'm trying to see if, you know what, we can probably just go iodize. I don't like keeping the U out of that, but spending all vowels to score 32 points is nothing to scoff at, perhaps. I don't like keeping the U instead of keeping the E, but I don't know that we have much of a choice unless we find a better way to use that. I like it. Okay, so we'll probably just drop the fug somewhere. Unless we find something better. Notice that iodize does open up the possibility for me to put an R or an S there if we wanted to make a play down there. So for example, something like rug would be 29. It's actually not too bad. Keeping EST. I'm actually liking that right now. Iodizer certainly has to be good. Unless I'm mixing it up with ionizer. No, iodizer has to be. I'm taking a moment to think about this. Iodizer. It has to be. I am still looking for other possibilities of something like an 8, though. I don't think there are 7s. I'm going to go for it. Okay, the W and U combination is always terrible. But we'll see what we can do with it. If we can find some way to get rid of those two at once, that is ideal. If we can't, then we can't. Tempting on the next turn to just make a small play like wet or something. Actually, do we have maybe a way to go over here with that W? Not that I can see, not really. Oh, you know what? No, we've got boo-boo over here. Would we rather keep the T or the W, though? Like, I don't know that we necessarily want to double the T like that. We might even just go Utu. Or even just TU and some, no. Either Utu or Uwu. I think if we're keeping this many tiles, it's better to diversify. Because the thing is, the W could still give us a good 6 play on the triple that we identified earlier. This might not be the best way to do it, though, in terms of dumping the UT. Let's see if we have a better way to do it. Not really seeing very good possibilities here, but you could go UT over here, yest. I actually don't know if yest is a noun or what. Actually, that's a lot better, 17. I like that a lot better. It's too bad we can't also get rid of the W, but I think we'll take it. Well, too many W's now. HUIS. I actually don't know if HUI takes an S. I think I'm going to challenge it just in case. It's good. Okay. Well, it shows you what I know. Yeah, this is a bit of a tricky situation, a little too consonant heavy. I'm trying to see what we can possibly do with this. I might even just do a small play like this. Ooh, I don't like that. Keeping WRST. But we really do need to get rid of some stuff. Yeah, it's too bad we can't stretch the play a little bit further there, but I think we have to make do with this. Okay, watrons to an N. I don't think the spelling waiters is good, but basically watrons to an S, to an N rather, would be good. Maybe it's good. I have to think about this for a moment. Where would I have seen something like that? I don't know. So I can see something to an N. Is there something else that would take an 8 here? I'm ahead by a healthy amount at least. We'll go something on the right here. Row or toe. I'm looking at the board and trying to figure out would I rather keep T or keep R. I think I'd rather keep T. I'm looking at a row like that. Now, of course, UG on the left side. This does block the S spot that I had on the right side there, but I don't care. We have a similar S hook dangling off web. Okay, what's the case for keeping T rather than keeping R? I think ST is going to work together better for this. But that's one of those little optimizations. So we have fajitas. It's not going to go down in that form, of course. We need to find something else. But it would be really quite fun if we could play fajitas. We do need to look for something else, though. Notice that UT does leave an A hook. Anything going down here to, we actually do have a spot for fajitas. It's a bit of a dangerous spot, though. S in third position there. Do we care? Let's see if we can find something better first in terms of position. But I think we'll actually go for fajitas there. I will... Yeah, like fatalist, fatalism. There might be something better if we can have an S starts something. No, I think we just go fajitas. Have a J blank and hope we don't get triple on the S. S in third position might not be too bad, but you never know. That's one of the things that you could potentially lose to if my opponent just drops a 200-point play down here or something. Notice that if something gives us a G, and that will not happen because the Gs have already been spent. Otherwise, we would have had piddling. But all three Gs and both blanks are already down, so that's not going to happen. We will probably just try to kill off the S spot on the right on the next turn. And we'll almost certainly have to do so in a way that just undoubles the Ds and the Is. Okay, Shul. All right, then. Oh, unfortunately, we don't have anything to parallel left of the L. That's too bad. I think Diplo is good, like a diplomat or diplodocus. It does dangle the D in a way that potentially gives away bingo lane underneath, but a bingo lane underneath would be fairly low scoring and give back a triple, so we might still be able to stay ahead with something like that. I am wondering if maybe. Yeah, I like that lower position better for that reason. But maybe we have a better play here as well. Not a lot of space on this board. I kind of wish we had something that would parallel next to L so we can block up some space here, but it doesn't look possible currently. We don't really have a good place for lipid. Let's just go Diplo here. Very close to Thomas Pynchon's Vineland. Oh, no, it's not good. Okay. Really? Because I thought Diplo's, like Diploes, is good. So I'm actually surprised at that one. Okay, lost a turn on that one. That's too bad. I have to check that afterwards because I was sure Diplo's was good. I might have confused it with. Oh, or am I thinking? Yeah, dipoles, Diplos. Yeah, it should be. So maybe there's no Diplo to go with that. Now, there was one S remaining, so we need to be aware of that because this does open up some possibilities accordingly. And this does put me in a bit of an awkward position now. However, unfortunately, J doesn't score anything here for something like that. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can't really do anything about this spot here without making things worse. And it's the eyes that are completely in the way right now. Let's just go. No, that dangles a triple with 4 E's remaining. I don't like that at all. I'm still thinking about whether, of course, there are any 3-letter extensions to web that I don't know about. Oh, we can't quite fit pigeon up here. Pidgin. We might just need to obstruct a little bit here. That doesn't need to obstruct at all, but let's just take points since I'm ahead. So, thing I'm most worried about right now is a play going down here. Because we still don't have anything that can deal with that. Because we needed something that would fit under UP, so that would be an O or an S, in order to actually start obstructing that. Okay. And so 21 over here. I see that there are no H's left in the pool, which means that if we have something starting with C, we can actually obstruct very, very well. But the only thing that's going to go there for me is L. So CEL would actually kill the lane completely. I like that. I like that quite a bit. It completely kills it. Yeah, it just completely destroys that lane. I like it. I mean, there is still the possibility of something off to G up top, I guess. Notice that there is a Q in the bag situation with no U's available, so we need to hang on to I in case we need it, even for something like QI up here or another spot accordingly. Because the Q stick is actually a major risk at the moment. Usually that's a sign that we should be playing few tiles at a time since I am ahead. I can absolutely lose the Q stick though if I'm not careful. My opponent's going to draw heavily into the bag here. Now, we might at this point want to close off this and then undouble the D once again. We must keep the I. Do we want to diversify like that? I mean, like the tiles that we're keeping are not synergizing well at all. But going Ben or Pen over here and keeping double D might be very inflexible, even if it gives us more points to work with. However, I might potentially have a bit of a problem with trying to play out. Now, the thing is, I need to make sure I have 2 spots for Q. We have 2 spots for Q right now that are fairly high scoring. But the problem is if I play 3 tiles here, there's 2 in the bag, Q might come out. If my opponent blocks up top, we have a potential Q stick situation, so I have to avoid that somehow. So I'm the one who kind of stands to lose from a Q stick right now, so I have to actually think about this accordingly. And I think what we do is we play off 1 tile. That's terrible. Drew to V. Well, yeah. I think we just have to eat a 20-point play from my opponent with a Q. Now, CQ, that seems like a mistyped play. What on earth was that? That felt like a typo. But I don't think I'm showing mercy to that. It does show that my opponent has the Q though, which means that we need to actually now take out some spots here. I need to get rid of the V though. That's a big issue for me right now. I have 18 seconds remaining. I will almost certainly go over time, I think. It looks like I don't know if my yeah, it looks like a typo. I wonder if my opponent was trying to play QI off a different spot. If he has QI, it's going to go down here. If he doesn't, then that means I is the last tile in the bag, and then we try to just go Vig up here. The other thing we'll probably do is Vid down here. What are they doing? Is this like a mouse problem or something on their side? I don't know. But we'll just go visual up here. Yeah, I think my opponents might just be misclicking like crazy or something. I am over time, but that's okay. At this point, we don't really care as long as I don't go the full minute over because then I would lose. Do I have a place to play DIPT? I don't think I do. So we'll just go vid over here and we'll just slow play it out. There's something going on here. They're like misclicking like crazy. Yeah. There's something going on here where like they just can't play for some reason. E. Okay. Anyway, that's kind of unfortunate that we had to win that way. I was winning this game anyway, but basically my opponent had some kind of interface problem in the last few turns all of a sudden and kept playing off one tile in bad locations. So I don't know what happened there, but the thing is, at least it didn't decide the game. It looked like I was clearly going to win. We just needed to not get stuck with a queue situation, really. And yeah, indeed, man, we were right on the dot there with that 420. So that was kind of an unfortunate ending, but I did come out of it with the win, so we'll go into round 4 soon. How soon, I'm not sure. But yeah. I don't know if there's too much we want to look at here. I'll step through it quickly while we have time before we're asked to go into a different round. And yeah, I didn't see this. I actually do know it, but it's a hard one to see, to make the blanket D in that kind of spot. But that looks quite safe. Yeah, the thing about Sneezer is I actually wonder how this simulates, because the thing is, basically whoever draws the next S or blank plays an absolutely massive play in the right size. So you probably wouldn't want to go for that if you can avoid it. But let's see. Oh, out hires here. I was looking at that ES ending later in the game on a different turn. I should have seen it that turn. Ooh, X side didn't go down. So Iodize and Iodizer are both kind of available there. Kind of liked keeping the R for Iodizer. I had to check this Diplo's thing here. I'll explain the overtime penalty in just a bit. Okay, so it actually is only with the OE ending. So that was the issue. Anyway, the overtime penalty is this. So normally in over-the-board tournament play, you lose 10 points for each minute that you go over. So for example, if you are between 1 second and 1 minute over, you lose 10 points. If you're between 101 and 2 minutes, you lose 20 points, etc. Online, we're currently playing a maximum 1 minute overtime, which means that if you go overtime within 1 minute, you lose 10 points. But past that point, you lose immediately. So you don't keep accumulating loss points. You actually do lose immediately after a 1 minute cutoff. And we were dangerously close to it. So, yeah, so anyway, Frog seemed to be well liked there. I don't think we'll bother with the computer analysis for this one unless it was something interesting to look at. Oh yeah, and we'll be called into the next round in a moment anyway, so let me just see. I actually didn't look at the rest, W-R-E-S-T, underlap under Iodizer. Oh, we should have considered Antifas, actually. Tafias. Yeah, this is well, it does kind of leave a counterplay open on the bottom, but could have been worse. So yeah, Diplo is no good. It is OE only. And then Webbed was actually available to me, and I didn't see it, even though I was thinking about extensions to Web. And then, yeah, my opponent somehow collapses in the end game. Okay, we have to go to the next round, so let's just do it. Oh, we're going second. And we'll see what happens here. A little heavy on the consonants right now. Don't like to look at you. But we'll see what goes down on the board and we'll react accordingly. So yeah, today's been a bit of a weird day with the game so far. We had one forfeit win, then we had one loss where I went 1 second overtime and lost because I went overtime. And then, of course, we had the game just now where I was winning anyway, but my opponent has some kind of interface bug or some other problem at the very end, and it didn't seem entirely fair to dump on them that way, but yeah, a lot of the consonants I'm holding right now do not synergize at all. And so I'm trying to see if I have something that I can do here. Like maybe draft down here. I'm trying to see if I can hit any of the triples around the eye. Not really seeing it though. Actually, even if I just do something like I don't like keeping the D and the F together like that. How much is that? 16. Something like draft. Oh, keeping KU. That's terrible. 18. No, can't do that. I was thinking something like Kufi. That's 13, but not great. You know what? Let's go Musk. Okay, too many T. Too many T's. And then Daftest, though. We have Daftest. There's only one spot for the S right now, though. And I don't expect that that kind of thing will stay open. Yeah, there was no way that was staying open in quite that fashion. So I don't think Daftest will go down. I don't see a spot. We have nothing to go under the X right now, too, which is very unfortunate. And I don't want to spend all my vowels to take something like that. We really can't do that. I'm trying to see if there's something we could do down the L. Well, this is very unfortunate. We might just open up a little bit of space here. I feel like we can do better. If there's some way I can deal with that X, that would be good. But yeah, because otherwise my opponent's likely to score pretty well off that next turn. I mean, we can kind of obstruct like this and dangle a D in the middle of nowhere and then keep EST. It is a highly risky play. That's A is in a terrible position too. Or we can just go, yeah, keep the EST. I don't know about that. We'll go with that. I wasn't really too happy with that one, but however, we have a lot of possibilities now with the WH combination. We still don't have anything to go under the X, unfortunately. I still should be looking at the L over here. Otherwise, I'm probably looking at something like wet for 35 on the right side. That's pretty reasonable unless I can position that a little bit better. I do not see a 7 on this right now, but I might be wrong. So for example, something like this, 45 keeping ST, but the S would go on top of it. I actually kind of like that idea, despite spending both E's. I kind of feel like that's first choice at the moment, because then you really do crack open the board, and then it gives me a new S lane. So yeah, I think that's looking like first choice at the moment. Because what's the alternative? Keeping DEST for a 9-point sacrifice. So why to do this? Well, we take the extra 9 points. I mean, this kind of forks it open for the S as well, but we can go for that and go for higher turnover. I guess I'll have to see what my opponent has, and we'll try to react accordingly. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there would be something like an 8 that we could put this with. I don't see it yet, though. But yeah, we'll almost certainly want to build on the top right. If it gets taken first, then we'll see what our other choices will be. So the thing I'm looking at is that, for example, if we were to play 3 tiles here, you have an S lane on top with an S ending. You have an S lane here with an S start. The issue with that is that both lanes could easily just be obstructed again by another parallel sequence that continues and scores points. If we play off 5, the problem is that we play off all vowels, including our last E. But you have a situation where you still have an S up top here, and some possibilities still remain down here. And it's a little harder for them to all get killed at once. Well, I guess it depends on what happens here. Anyway, this is a really long turn for my opponent. I wonder what they're dealing with. If the top right gets taken, we'll just have to adjust accordingly. I don't really see that I have anything decent I can do under EX unless we just go XCD just to take it. It's a bit of a consonant heavy leaf, but at least it's with synergistic tiles. And so this might not be the worst thing we can do, depending on what the alternatives are. I feel like we are risking a very consonant heavy rack on the next turn, though, if we do this. But at least many of the ones we're keeping do go together. And you still have some other possibilities. Also, I should not forget SMA is a word, which means that if we have something that will go as a 6-tile play on the left side that hits the double letter score pretty heavily, we should consider it. So if we could do something with an HES or WES ending, I do not see it right now. But yeah, that's an easy one to overlook potentially. SMA is very hard to see. So we'll just have to wait this one out and see what's happening. And We'll see what happens. Yeah, they're having a couple of issues with the group today in terms of people no showing or showing up late or disconnecting or having all kinds of complications. I don't know if that's the case for my opponent right now, but given how early it is in the game and that they're not playing after several minutes, I wonder what the problem is at the moment. So I don't know what's going on right now, but I don't know if it's actually a long turn or if it's a disconnection or something because this group is having problems. Which is too bad because, when people actually show up for the games and stay, then everything runs very smoothly. When they don't, we get all kinds of problems. So I don't know what's going on right now. This seems very, very unusually long. Unless they're spending the entire turn looking for a difficult double blank anagram or something. But yeah, we haven't really had a good solid game this session, perhaps. The round 2 game, which is the first one we actually played today, was pretty good, except, of course, we had the loss on time at the end. But there have been so many issues otherwise, I think, with having to stare at this board for so long, wondering what's happening. I hope this doesn't just end in a disconnection or something, because I want to play this one through, right? And actually, even in that round 2 game, I seem to remember that even though I lost in time by going slightly over, my opponent also went over because they also had some kind of technical problem. So it seems like most of my opponents in the group today have had some kind of issue that has unfortunately made this less colorful to stream than usual. But that's too bad. So unfortunately, nothing for me to do but wait. I mean, we've really talked about the possibilities here. We're looking at HEW here, maybe adding the ED down here, maybe just going XED down here. And keeping an eye on the S hook here, although I don't think I have a good way to use it. Not this turn, anyhow. I don't know why they're burning all their time. Like, maybe we'll just get our second forfeit win today. Who knows? Because this is looking suspiciously like some kind of connection issue on their side. So we'll see what happens. It would really be unfortunate if we just have another forfeit win. But if we find ourselves with a lot of time, then what I'll do is look over the round 2 game, since we did request the computer simulation on it earlier. So I don't know what's going on. I think this actually looks like a timeout and a forfeit. Usually we don't get this kind of thing with having an organized group that, when you have a club or tournament session that is put together, it's not like playing randoms online in a random queue, because certainly as people, I think, have also very frequently encountered playing rapid times rather than blitz times in games like chess, that you do run into a lot of random opponents online who just time you out and waste your time. But this should not be the case here. This is somebody who has been playing with this group so far without complications, so I don't know what the issue is here, but it looks very much like some kind of disconnection. Usually it would say so, though. Because usually what happens is that in the player chat, you can see when the opponent kind of leaves and re-enters the room. Anyway, I've reported the issue to the director because it looks like my opponent is just straight up AFK. So we might actually just have another forfeit win today for the second time, which is just really unfortunate. This session has just not been good. And I've just had to kind of sit here talking about this for the past 10 minutes because we haven't had the opportunity to, look away at some other games in the meantime. But yeah, what we'll do is we'll see if I can... We'll see what the progress of the other current boards are in this group so we know how much time I have to work with. If there is time, maybe we'll step through a computer analysis around 2, but... we'll see what happens. Yeah, there's a very stern warning whenever people try to join these weekend events that yes, you do in fact have to stay for all rounds, and yeah, we're going to win by timeout. That's unfortunate. That was kind of terrible. I guess we'll take a look at the first few moves here to see if anything could have been different, but yeah, I get the win on this. Anyway, I'll put that in as a win. So we've barely gotten to play today, that's the thing. It's just been really unfortunate. But yeah, let's just take a look here very briefly. And, oh, missed the craft here. Strong type of brown wrapping paper. Not the cheap macaroni brand that you get in some regions. So let's check the lexicon on that one. It is in both. Oh, I should have remembered that because it's one of the heavy fives or high fives where you have a big tile at the beginning or the end of the 5-letter word, which is a list that's very useful to know because of all the different combos that you can get with that all over the board. And yeah, I've been awarded an extra 50-point spread for the forfeit win, but I'd rather just play the game, to be honest. And so Yeah, we didn't miss any bingos here when I was holding Daftest. And this is what my opponent was holding. Yeah, very clearly just a timeout, unfortunately. Oh, I'd totally forgotten about a T front hook on that too. That would have been doubly good then. Because we were considering these two plays here. And you can see they compare favorably in terms of equity, but in terms of how we can play out of that, who knows? Anyway, let's see what the other boards are looking like so I know how much time I have. There's only one game going on right now, actually. Because look at that, just forfeits all over the place. Like 2 forfeits and 1 timeout. So, yeah, this group has been a bit of a disaster today, unfortunately. It usually goes so much better than this. And they're actually pretty close to finishing, so I will not have time to walk through my round 2 simulation right now, but we'll do that later. Let's just watch the ending for this pair. So, yeah, currently down to a minute on the player who's on turn, but he is above 55 ahead, and he's probably... Is he going to see welting? Welting has to be good, right? Like, it's just going to go here. There's welting, and there's also winglet that would go there, I think. And that's if you make the blank an N. I haven't considered whether there are plays there with other blank designations. But of course, the first thing you'd look at is the ing. You think winglet sounds like a Pokemon? Yeah. A lot of things do. Rather, it's the Pokemon that sound like the words. Twheeling. Okay, maybe he was just spending all the time trying to look for an even better play. Also, yeah, so their game is over. It says that there is one phony on the board, which is YOBO. That's no good. Probably thinking of YABA, which is, if I remember correctly, it means yet another bloody Aucklander. And it's not even the only... So to think about this lexicon... Oh, yet another bloody acronym. No, I'm thinking of JAFA, which is just another family-friendly Aucklander. Because basically when you learn the words in this dictionary, you find out that people in Australia and people in New Zealand have all kinds of derogatory words for each other. And even people within New Zealand have all kinds of slang. Yeah. So yeah, YOBO is no good, but YABA is. So, yeah, there's going to be some pairings complication, I'm sure, going into the next round because we've had so many dropouts and disconnections today. I hope I get the play. That's the thing, is that if we're down to an odd number or something, I hope we don't have to sit out another round. But I will go back to the tournament and see what the situation is. Yeah, because that was actually the only board that was able to complete this round, which is ridiculous. Because we had some kind of disconnection issue here, I think. Wow, 451 to 165. Like, did they also just kind of crash out in this game? Yeah, yeah. So this game also ended prematurely. Anyway, I'm playing the director for the next round, so at least we know that this one will go ahead. Because today's just been ridiculous. Anyway, this is going to be Sinuate, Unities, all kinds of things. Let's unitize. Unities would at least close off any S-hooks on the end, but with such an open board, I don't know if it matters. Unities. You know what? Let's just go Unities in this position. for the sake of having a U. Yeah, just having a bit of a chat with a director, because at least we're two players who are more or less guaranteed to be here. Let's just go, or do I want to go like, yeah, no, let's just go unities here. There are probably better positions on this. I mean, there's so many bingos available that I didn't have time to map out the best blank designation there. The rationale behind this is that, while I've effectively killed off the right side spot, and the counterplays here give me some potential for the triples, I don't see a way to put the J in the heavy spot on the right side here, though. So ideally, I want a J down there. Maybe I can do something else with it, though. My original rationale for this was that I wanted the U in the central spot so it doesn't give away too many triple possibilities, but let's see. Surely I can have something here with the J, though. Maybe not. I'm trying to find at least a 5 with a J up in the top position, but I just cannot see one. We may actually just go JOE here. I keep a decent leave out of that. Now, the thing about JOE is you have to be careful in this lexicon because it takes an S hook on top. That will almost certainly come into play. I think we're fine with that anyway, though. So yeah, SJOE is a play. That's a thing. Oh, he had imitator ready to go right away. And I'm trying to see if we have something on the right side that I can do, like peril, keeping... No, EP is no good. What if we just go Pew here for 31? I actually don't mind that. Filtered through an E, it will go here, filtered. If we lose that spot, let's see if... well, we have trifold. Do we have a place for trifold? I'm not sure. So filtered, trifold. If filtered gets blocked, then we have to examine other possibilities anyway. And we might just go like fetid or something down the right side if everything is unavailable. 38, that's not awful. I feel like the E dangling off imitated is such an obvious thing right now to close up, though, for the player who's ahead, that I don't really expect filtered will go down. And I don't see a spot for trifold if it does get obstructed. I'm trying to see if there is anything through a doubled I in case there's anything up top. And welcome, Joseph. Joseph, today's been a bit of a logistical disaster. Basically, we've only played one fully legitimate game after 4 rounds because I had a forfeit win and I had a decent game where I went overtime and I lost because I went overtime by 1 second and lost by 5 points. And then I had a game where I was winning, but then my opponent clearly had some issue at the end. And look at this. This is going to do exactly what it needs to do to block filtered. That's some intuition there for what might be an all-consonant rack. I'm trying to see if there's something through the U. Well, I see trifold, I see... but I no longer see a place for trifold. That is some intuition there. Just killing my spot. I think there are too many consonants here to have something through N, so I'm looking carefully through U, but I don't see it. I don't know if there's anything else in filtered that would end in E. I don't think there is. I think maybe we will. No, what was I looking at? That was. Oh yeah, no. This is blocked now. The right side. Well, it serves me right for making things deliberately difficult with unities. I'm thinking diff rather, or even delf RIT, giving me a bit more space. We don't have an S for the S hook over Joe anyway, so maybe we'll just take this for 19. Okay, this is good. Eurolite. I think there might be something to the D, but I have to take a look at this properly. Hang on. Do we have anything through the E, through a D on that side for the double? I have to take a look at this a little carefully. And you're saying after that play, you'd want to check the viewer list? Oh, no. This is the tournament director. Like, I trust him on this. Like, it's a totally sensible play, if depending on what he has. If he's had all consonant rackets, in his interest to close up when he's ahead like that. I think it's totally a legitimate play. And surely we can see what's through the N here. Hang on. I have to think about this because I'm almost certainly missing something like, retinula tenurial. I would like to get something sort of deep, but I actually do not see it. Retinula should be fine though. Okay, let's compare. Ternarial does not take an S at the end, and that's something that should be a consideration. But I need more room to have more bingos. So basically, retinula is obstructing too much on the top. Here, we open up multiple lanes. I think that's the rationale. That we still have possibilities going up beside the T, and we still have bottom lanes through all the floaters down there, and we don't open the S. I think, oh yeah, Ontelier is there as well, but too late for that now. I don't think we would have done it anyway. Tenero looks fine. And yeah, Joseph, I know you meant it facetiously, but just want to be clear for anybody else watching who might not have picked up on that. So anyway, I'm way too heavy on vowels, so we can play off a CAA or something. I guess if we go CAA here, then you still have an E lane on the left side. If I'm able to play off even more tiles, that would be better. And yeah, unfortunately, that really does kind of block like crazy as well. Keeping AAE, I don't like it. ALAE if we have a good spot for it. ALAE. Actually, no, I like that. It kind of blocks everything though on that lane. So maybe if we open up the triple lane like that, I don't know. Risky, but I am the one who kind of needs a bit of volatility here. So I can kind of see the case for that. Because, yeah, this starts closing up too much, maybe. Because if the top lane gets killed, then we sort of start losing all possibilities. I think we have to go for it. And we draw the Q. Okay. That's okay. We can drop QAT somewhere. Potentially. Probably just off the top. 32. I'm burning too much time as usual when I commentate, but yeah, at least that's not killing all the lanes on the left side yet. Go just QT here for 23, 37 if we dump the S on it, but do we want to? I think we just go QAT up top, 32. And we have an I to continue there as well if we want, but we don't really have very good possibilities for that at the moment. Above baggy? Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, that was... well, the thing is, I still have an incentive to leave this area open. That's the issue. It's not a massive point sacrifice. But it has the advantage of not giving something back with a Q. But the thing is, it is in my interest to try to leave more than one lane open at all times right now. Because otherwise we are in really big trouble. Now, I don't actually have a good way to use the Q there right now in a way that also solves my problems with the Y or the S or whatever. So I don't know if I want to take it yet. I am still looking at this area here in case there's anything that would become relevant. Yeah, the thing is that the longer I take on this, the bigger problems we start to have. If we go KV over here, well, obviously the C kind of kills everything, though. Tempting to just go Ivy here and dangle that massive spot with the eye, but I don't think we can justify it. Yeah, I don't really like this at the moment. 19 there. I really, really do not like this situation. Because we may have to wind up just killing the lane ourselves anyway, which I really don't like, because the thing is, once the top closes, it will just stay closed. I just don't see very many possibilities at the moment. Yeah, I think we have to kind of... I really don't like that. Because then the bottom is just dead, right? And we need a bingo in our current position, but I think we have to risk it. Like, we have both the E and the S for anything off the T. We really need to draw into something decent, and this will not be it. Probably we just go here next turn. But I need to open up more lanes if I can. And yeah. Now I'm about 50 behind, but I'm not on turn right now. So we're effectively a bingo down. Okay, that at least is actually going to give me even more points because it's going to give me wordy. So I like it. Let's keep it. It does kill anything going through the V, of course. I do not see a 7 with this, and this is starting to be a problem. But I guess if we go LI over here for the next turn, then we take the top spot. But the thing is, he's gradually closing up. If he closes up to T, then things are just dead. Let me just make sure I don't have anything here. I really do not think I do. But yeah, the thing is, we're really running out of time to take advantage of that T. Okay. So let's think about this. Yeah, well, there we go. Never mind. I'm looking at the A up top, of course, in case we do have something off of that, but at least some spaces open up a little bit. But the A would realistically be the only thing that we can play through. I'm trying to see if there's maybe something that we can do that's maybe a parallel with the Z. There's only 3 in the bag right now, and the thing is, none of that stuff looks very promising. Because basically with 3 in the bag, my opponent can pretty much deterministically block anything at this point. Like, he just needs to, for example, close up off top, and that's it, because that seems pretty trivial to close down. I think we just have to eat the loss on this one. I just don't see a way to leave the top open while scoring. I'm trying to see if there's something that will give me the Z in the big spot here. But I don't really see it at the moment. Like, maybe, no. Yeah, I think we just kind of have to eat the loss on it and just try to score. It does empty on that play. The other possibility I was considering was just ZE on the top here. But then neither one really leaves lanes open, right? With the available pool. And had I played ZE up here, I would have needed to draw into the E to have a decent chance at something. Actually, Chancer is through the A, but he'll see it and he'll block it. There's no way that's remaining open. There's absolutely no way that's going to stay. Because he's got full knowledge of the rack at this point, so. Yeah, no way. Too bad. I guess we can just go rash or something. I don't know. Or, Yeah, we'll just take it. I mean, the C's are not going down at this point. Too bad. We're just going to lose a ton of points on those. The thing is, had we drawn into Chancers but left both A's open with some way, maybe there would have been some possibility there. But I guess in order to do that, we would have needed to have another kind of play with the Z. I don't know if there was another Z spot that made sense that would score decently with it. That doesn't blow up both A's. And where was that? Yeah, we had to pass on this. Too bad. Didn't play that one well, but so we did see Chancers, but no spot. Anyway, let's first of all mark this on the record. So the record says 3 and 2, but of course 2 of those were forfeit wins, so it barely counts. And we'll hopefully actually get to play the last round because there have been so many pairing disasters today. But yeah, I'll put the computer analysis on this one anyway. It is a loss of over 100 points, but it was a game that had some interesting decision points, I think, and maybe we can figure out where we could have done better with a few of the plays. But we'll take a quick look at this. I don't think I knew pot G. Very nice. South African word for a 3-legged iron pot used for cooking over an open fire. We've got one round left, but so people are aware, there is much, much better Scrabble streaming that is also going on, and which should be getting started right around this time, I think. There's a tournament in the UK right now that's being covered live, and has been covered live all weekend, and we'll certainly be rating that stream at the end. But we'll play through our last round and walk through the boards as usual on our end first. And I just wanted people to be aware that there is quite a lot of Scrabble content going on. If you want more, and indeed better play than what we're going to offer you here. Fiddler. Yeah, so no bingos after B and block filtered. And then, yeah, these were the only ones I saw, all 3 of them. I saw Untler a bit late. But when I played Ternurial, I was absolutely thinking about leaving the T open for ST above. CAAED. I actually did not know this was a verb. I do know CAA. But yeah, I mean, I guess technically the E is still available next to the TA as a hook. Because otherwise I was definitely kind of aware of how much I was closing down the board at this point. I really would not have preferred to. So a bit of a 6-point difference here with the QAT. We'll look at that one in the sim for sure when it comes time. And, oh, look at that, still holding the blank here. Anomalous. Wow, look at that. Anomalous as a 9 was available. And Masula as a 7. What's a Masula? An Indian surf boat. Yeah, what an amazing find that would have been. And then, yeah, nothing for me. And nothing for me here. So this was the other play I was considering. But of course... So the advantage of this play, I guess, is that technically it kind of leaves 2 lanes open. But I would absolutely be counting on drawing the remaining E at this point. And what did my opponent have? Yeah, he played the bingo, and then on this turn, he absolutely had it already. Because, yeah, I kept the E and didn't draw the last one. Yeah, this would have given up on the bingo. I don't think we were catching at that point anyway, given how far behind I was, but Zarnex didn't see that. Native sulfide of arsenic. Anyway, I don't know what's going on at the next round yet. We'll take a look and see what's happening. Because there has been so much pairing trouble today, I don't even know if we'll have an issue. The director whom we just played is actually going to voluntarily take a bye to make the pairings work out for the rest, I think. There's some kind of management that's going on right now because there were so many dropouts today. But we'll try to keep up with that. So yeah, we requested the computer analysis on it for this one and the round 2 game earlier. We'll definitely try to look at both, but I may need to get ready for the next round first. Yeah, because look at how many removals there were today. So let's just get in and play. Oh, actually, this is the opponent who was the no-show for my first round, but decided to show up in the end after all. I'll be first. Probably just holy. Which position do I want? Right side or left side? Unless we have a better way to... So it keeps AA, which I don't like. But then the other possibility would be looking at... would be something like Aloha or something hitting for much less. Like... Or some kind of position, 18. That's a big sacrifice, though. But then at least we don't keep AA, right? 12-point sacrifice to not keep AA. Pretty early in the game. Or maybe there's something else I can do here. Yeah, I don't want to be stuck with AA on the first turn. Okay, finery, but unfortunately, it doesn't just go with the S like that. We should look at the IFY ending. Oh, I missed Hayle, Hayle. Yeah, no, I know it, but I just didn't see it. Okay, untuned. That's got to be good, I think. Anyway, I'm trying to see if I have a good F play through here. I'd prefer not to use the S for it, but it may be best. It's 54 points. I think we just need to do it. Unless I'm missing another possibility here. Actually, does FEY even take an S? Hang on. I think it does in this lexicon, actually. It's one of the S hooks that is colons only. I think I've seen it in that context. I have to double check here because this is one where I can easily slip up. Yeah, I didn't want to use my S there, but that's okay. I am already looking for 8s with this one here. Don't see it yet. Um, the YA naturally invites me to go under that with something like an OH or AH ending. If I can play off the U as well, that'd be good, but I don't see a way to do it, so I think we'll just go OH and deal with the U another turn. And yeah, we need to unduplicate a bit, get rid of some of this stuff. We'll see what happens. If we can just play off uni somewhere, like up here, for instance, where it actually opens up quite a nice lane up top. I kind of like that as the first choice right now, in fact. I don't know if that will remain open. The U spot is obviously a big hot spot right now, particularly for something like the X, but if it were an X, it would have gone down already. But I feel like the threat of something like an X bomb there is going to lead my opponent to want to close it off prematurely anyway. So I don't think that spot's going to stay open for very long. But uni over here would be fine as well. And then you would have some follow-ups like maybe an M hook to the left. You're not going to score very much either way, but we do need to do a bit of a low point rack management play. Also, we should not discount the possibility of 9s that end with IST. It won't be with this rack, but we should keep an eye on the ST ending for 9s on the right side because that's the kind of thing I'm likely to overlook. So yeah, too bad about all the issues today that we effectively only got to play 4 rounds, and so we'll have a lot less to look at than usual. We'll see what happens. It's a bit of a long turn for my opponent. Not suspiciously long yet, although, again, this was the opponent that was AFK on me in the first round. And so problems have been abundant. But we'll see what happens. At least I kind of have 2 possibilities for just doing the rack management play, 8 points down there or 12 points up here. I think either of those look clearly like they have to be what I have to do. I do like the top spot in terms of having it give me a place to hook either the N or the R, more likely the R as an ending tile. But we do have to wait for my opponent's play first. Been an unusual amount of waiting today, unfortunately, and hopefully this doesn't turn to something like the last round where we basically had to sit around and talk for 10 minutes while my opponent disconnected. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, just so much dead time today, unfortunately. Usually there's more to talk about with the position, but let me make sure my drawing tool is actually on. It isn't. So yeah, we're looking at just playing off Uni in one of these two spots. Notice that the ST can continue with an O down here if needed. We're looking at potential IST or IEST endings over there as well eventually, if we keep an eye out for nines. Right now, though, we wait. And hope this isn't just another disconnection, because I am beginning to suspect. So usually the interface will tell you if it looks like the opponent has left a room, and if they're leaving and coming back repeatedly, then they clearly have some kind of connection issue. Unless that changed, unless there's something different about the UI now that it doesn't show that, because here's the thing I'm looking at the moment. I'll show you actually on the full screen, unobstructed. So this is what it looks like when I am just in my playing screen without my overlay. Now you'll notice that right now it says one player, it just shows me. That's usually a sign that my opponent has disconnected. But it does not say in the chat box right now that they left a room, which used to be what it would show. But that's the reason that I suspect a disconnection right now, is because my opponent actually does not appear in the chat list for this room. Is he having internet issues? Entirely possible. Again, this was the same opponent that dropped out on us in the first round and went AFK. And so we're really only going to get to play what, 3 games today? And forfeit 3 wins. That's just disaster. It's never been this bad. Out of all the times I played with this group, this is the worst it's ever been. Like, we've sometimes had dropouts and such, but I don't remember the last time we had to fully take a forfeit win because of it. It's happened maybe once before, but usually some things get sorted out with pairings. But yeah, at some point, I think the director of this group is already threatening some of the people who regularly run into trouble with this, that they will just be barred from playing on this group, because, you know, you do need everybody on board and committed to all rounds for this to run smoothly. And the thing is, 6 rounds is the shortest format they run here, right? Like, we've done 8 or 10 or 12 rounds with this group before with no issues. And you would think that for something like 6 rounds, you know, it's not a big commitment to stay for. Okay, now it's showing 2 players again now, so it looks like they might have reconnected. There we go. Finally, we got to play. So yeah, it looks like it was some kind of massive disconnection issue. Okay. Let's dirty flag this guy, if we can. The rack I'm looking at right now, it's rational to an L. notarial to an L. I think there might be something here as a 7. I need to look at this possibly. It looks like there might be a 7 in here, but I can't see it yet, so. Aeration through an E. There are lots and lots of 8s on this, but I do not see any 7s. DEVO here, I think, is like devolution, like when people who do devolution politics, the United Kingdom talked about Devo Max or whatever. So I think it probably should take an S, but I'm not 100% on that. I don't know if they just disconnected again. It's quite possible. So yeah, this is just the absolute worst at the disconnection issues in this group that we play with. Has ever been. And then we had some people who didn't lose connection but decided to dip out early before committing to the full 6 rounds. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it looks like at this point that I have some likelihood of just winning by default on time again. It would be nice to actually play some Scrabble today. Like, I took some time aside to stream this, and it's just been a total catastrophe today. But that's okay. At the end, we'll take some time to look at the analysis board for the rounds where it was requested. Okay, finally we got to move. It will not give me anything back in terms of anywhere to play those. So I wanted to leave the lane open up top. I guess we should have spent that time, actually properly considering to play here. But if I can just play off a couple tiles. Tempting to just go like or over here. Although that does leave a pretty hot spot for a Y on the right side. And it doesn't score anything. I spent so much time talking about the potential disconnection, I didn't consider my own play. I'm tempted to just actually fish one. And then we'll probably have to wait a whole ton of time after that. I'm very tempted to fish one and give ourselves a second lane for the R. I'm going to do it. Okay, so this is not going to work out. Tormina, Tormina. And actually, it's not going to fit in any of the available spots, is it? So unfortunately, this doesn't work out because I don't have a spot for it. And there's so many eights that are possible with this as well, but there are no floaters to play eights through right now, and I don't have much vision for sevens. I actually don't even know if DVO takes a T. I'm going to challenge it just in case. Not that I have a spot for my play. I'm going to challenge it just in case. It's good. Okay. So yeah, I think Tormenta is the only 7 in here. Too bad. There's so many 8s that were possible. What do we... Hang on, we need to look at this possibly in case I'm missing some kind of overlap. Yeah, unfortunately, Tormenta would have gone here with WO, but it doesn't anymore. Gave myself so many spots up top too. I'm going to go like this because then we still have a good chance of going back next turn. And of course, we're going to have the double I problem now. This has been disastrous, but that's okay. We'll see what we can do. Edge over here. Don't have anything to take that spot on the left right now. That's obviously very open for a number of possibilities. There are no H's left in the pool, at least, to hit that very, very hard. Well, this is not working out at all. I kind of want to unduplicate up here, but the problem is that it does block off that lane I was trying to open on the top. We do have technically a bottom lane now, though, if we have... Well, the A would have to go under the OM. That's the issue. That only scores, what, 8 points there. We could do better, surely. This is closing up quite a bit. I just don't see... very many possibilities here. That won't just immediately get hit. This is not working out at all. Like all this fishy play that I'm doing here. Admittedly, I'm a little thrown off by just how many issues we've had today with just being able to play this game. And maybe I'll just wind up pushing my opponent for time and we'll find some kind of comeback. Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be taken up. I have nothing. We need to just keep building, perhaps, since there's nothing going on up here anyway. I think we want to keep... Well, right now, the problem is that we only have the one hook left over UT. And I have very few possibilities otherwise. Maybe we can go under to Z to do something here. But we do need to unduplicate the eyes. Bit, of course, would leave an O hook open on top. We can't use it anyway, so I think we just have to go with this. Of course, the O hook would have paid off for us had we left it. And unfortunately, that spot would have taken because it's been standing there the whole time. So this has been awful. Okay. Anyway, but we do have W for wedge on the left side spot now. The problem is, do I actually have a way to take that? Because I actually don't really see fives that I can play through that. Which is very, very annoying in its own way. I think I might just need to take that spot with a W anyway. Even if we can't reach. Surely there's something here that I'm just not seeing at the moment. Yeah, we can't spend so much time on it. I think I want to try to work this open a little bit. Like if we do something like this, then at least we kind of get 2 lanes open. Maybe it's not really a lane below that though. It's not a lane at all, really. Or we can try to play something else and try to draw towards something useful on the W spot next turn instead. So for example, we do this. Then we try to open up 2 spots for a W play. I don't know. I don't know if any of this makes sense. You know what? Let's actually open up here. Then we can try to get something going. This is not working out at all. I'm playing too few tiles at a time. Like I've got no turnover going, and so I'm not being able to set up anything useful. Because I'm trying to hit something with a W, but we've got so many different ideas that all conflict with each other, and maybe I missed something that turn as well. Anyway, we just need to get out of here and... actually, no, this would be better. Let's do that. And of course, we're going to draw all the eyes. So yeah, a bit of a disaster game. We spent so long waiting for my opponent to come back, only to have so many issues. Also, I should have seen that we still have this open. We'll probably go ticks there next turn. I think we have to. I don't know if we'll stay open that long. But I've been trying to keep things open. So yeah, this has been a disaster game, but not very good play today. Anyway, yeah, so that's going to be taken. That's okay. I kind of expected that wouldn't stay open. We'll just need to do this. So many E's in a pool. Still available. We don't really have anything to do with the J here right now. If we had an O, that would be a different story. And of course, you know, if there's anything down here, but right now it doesn't look like it. And we can't even do anything through here. Jilt. Oh, through, yeah, jilt. Then now we have too many E's. That drew a challenge. That's interesting. It's not even the first play that drew a challenge, was it? Oh no, I challenged a T hook on Devo earlier. So My opponent's going to go over at this point. So hopefully we can push a bit of time pressure here, but I'm not really liking the possibilities right now. We need to open up some more space. I actually don't remember over as good in this lexicon. I know it's not good in the other one, but I think I know it because it's Collins only, and I looked it up in that respect. We would be keeping too many E's out of that, though, probably. This doesn't really open much for us, but I'm trying to draw into something, and at least we still. Oh, well, look at that. Yeah, this has been a disaster game. Greedier. Let's just take it. And my opponent will actually manage to get out of this on time. So, okay. So, yeah, that's it for today. That's unfortunate. We'll run this one through the analyzer as well, I think, probably. I think we might have missed something decent along the way. Obviously, I made a lot of really bad small plays all over this game and couldn't really see what to do in a lot of those. So we will request the computer on this one as well. And we'll step through the games that were interesting. Given that, well, we had the 2 forfeit wins today, and then the one round, I think was round 3, that was just kind of clearly ahead in not a very interesting way. So we'll look through, I think it's 2, 5, and 6. And we'll see what happens. So, yeah, let me get out of this one first. So, yeah, the standings today are kind of a total wash because of all the dropouts, so they really don't matter. But this is effectively what it looked like. I mean, I basically had a losing record today because we had 2 forfeit wins and 1 actual win. And then one of my losses really should have been a win, but it went 1 second over because I hesitated on the plate I was punching in, which was terrible. But yeah, that's it for today as far as the playing goes. So anyway, let's take a look at it quickly. So yeah, look at how many removals and forfeits and everything there were. Just kind of dreadful. But let's just look at the sim quickly. And I do need to go with my main screen for this. So this is the game report. Pretty bad when it comes to the mistake index. A little worse than usual for us here. I'll see if there's anything interesting. It said my first choice was optimal going Knox. Okay. Yeah, unduplicating the ends comes out best. Then here, yeah, we won't spend forever with this. We'll just try to look at some of the critical turns here. So this was considered a large mistake because I missed Turk. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty big difference in score, in fact. I just didn't think about ending with a K there. And the GN isn't too bad when it comes to witty here, perhaps. So Ladyism would have been available, but my opponent actually didn't fall too far behind that, even just with FY, just given the strength of the leave. Ladyism. Very nice. The affectation of the airs of the lady. Of a lady. So I went inked here, but indue is better. This is from Spencer, so that's one worth knowing, I guess. So mine was kind of a second place play by the sim, it seems. but it looks like that had to be where to go on the board. And Sim doesn't like my opponent keeping the Q. I kind of wonder why he would. Oh, probably leaving QIS available underneath that, maybe? I don't know. Actually, yeah, QIS would have gone multiple places here. Like here or elsewhere on the board. But the Sim doesn't like that too much, keeping both the Q and the Z and being burdened with stuff for a while. And so, yeah, nothing available for me here, but on air comes out a little bit better than what it shows here. I didn't think about the A hook on Lamb, actually. That's an obvious one that I should have thought about. But of course, the strength of the leave comes out quite nicely here for me. This would have been Kazik's through an A. So it's funny because Anir would not have opened it, but yeah, my opponent was holding the Kazik's rack. If there was any possibility, they would have seen it. And so I went for the exchange here. That's considered a medium mistake because there actually was a big vowel dump on this side. I just didn't look at that carefully enough. Analysis is ready on the last round. We'll get there eventually. Optimal on the fives. Re-addition scores 10 points higher. The act of editing again. Re-addition. I did not know it. I haven't studied nines systematically, although this would come up pretty high probability, I think, if you did, in fact, practice unscrambling nines. So I would just simply never have seen this, I think, even if I had looked through a DI. And missed Zodiacs. This was the turn where he took a long, long time. It's tricky to see that through the DI, though, I guess. But it's considered a pretty huge mistake. Anyway, Jam comes out best. JA was actually considered there as well. I considered all of these plays at various points. And I think I actually did roughly rank them in this way as well. In fact, because the idea behind Ajis in this position is that you can actually have an ME start on top above squires for esquires. And when we eventually played ads up there instead, we kind of forced an E start in that spot. That didn't work out. And Shoei where obviously is going to be audible. I didn't know Saddies, I don't think. A dull and sociable person, because I had that on my rack and I looked at it. I just didn't know it. It is Collins only. I think both the double S and double D. Maybe I hadn't really looked at that systematically, but probability yet. So yeah, big mistakes there just from knowing it. Ads is... Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that on the interface, it shows my play second all the time, but that doesn't mean it's a second place play. Because the way that this interface is organized, we have to look at the win percentage carefully because it always shows the Sim's best play followed by the play that was actually made. And then it shows the ranking underneath, but then the play that was actually made might not be second best. So for example, the exchange EEE here is actually quite a bit far down compared to some of the other possibilities that are just E dumps that actually score a few points. I was definitely considering Eek, for instance. So yeah, we have to be careful when interpreting the table on the left side here and not forgetting to actually read the win percentages to see how things are ranked. Because ads is actually not as preferred there. I guess a couple of these leave things a bit open. So Boils is good. I passed on it because I was thinking, am I confusing it with Embroils? No, I was not confusing it. Boils is good. Because I looked at that and I backed off on it. So that was a huge error as well. Look at the swing and win percentage, right? And Boils had actually this overlap spot as well, but of course I had ruled out Boils at that point. I didn't know embolize. I was looking for things like embolism. I think straight up didn't know the embolize, embolies. So yeah, that was a big goof there. We had the bingo and we just didn't play it. Look at this. Look at this. I played lections, but you've got indiscrete and indiscrete as disconnected tens. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Line cuts would have put the C in a higher scoring spot as well. Yeah, that's kind of interesting that Lections is so far down on win percentage from just the 6-point difference. That's a huge difference, actually. I guess the game is close enough for that to matter. But, well, I'm glad we stepped through games like this because then we can see plays like this appear on a board. And it's kind of interesting, too, that indiscrete in this position sims 1% better by win percentage than this, even though this placement is putting the T in a less vulnerable position for a counterplay. I kind of wonder why. So yeah, here I really didn't know what to do. Tibia. Oh, this is where we went tuba here instead, and was worried about the II. But Tibia has a pretty big gain out of that. And this is with 3 in the bag at this point. So I did want to play something long that would dump some of the dreck, but so yeah, this is considered a small mistake, but of course, like that position down here in general was something that was going to be a potential winning route. And then, so I actually did find the optimal play for even a +1 win, but the problem with that was that I ran out of time at this point. I played this, then I considered going down here instead, and I had to do a quick mental calculation as to what was actually going to be better. And then I swapped back at the last minute, not having really properly calculated it because I was under a minute, and then I went over by 0.04. And the problem with that, of course, is that I lost by enough of a margin to matter. So that's too bad. But that's it for that one. Let's take a look at some of the other ones. I guess the thing that analysis mostly revealed was actually just missing the bingos. I mean, positionally speaking, I guess that's what turned the game. Let's take a look at the round 5 game here. Yeah, we lost pretty badly on this one, but we'll take a look quickly. So designating the blank as a Q is actually was recommended here, but everything's pretty close, it seems. And prisoner here. I didn't know Pachi, straight up didn't know it. Then either Joe play was coming up pretty decently. I'm amazed that my mistake index in this game was apparently that small down here. I didn't think I did that well this game. I thought we had lots of problems, actually. But playing out the PW here worked out. And of course, this was estimated as a medium mistake. Knob would have also killed off the trifold idea, though. So, or the filtered or the trifold idea, either of them, nothing goes down. So Fiddler is best here for scoring and opening. I mean, it's there because it's such a big gain in score, actually. It's clearly best for that reason. It's the equity play. So it actually prefers Retinula over Tenurial here. That's interesting. Again, my rationale for this was that I wanted to open 2 lanes. I wanted to, given the score that I had, create bingo lanes on both the bottom and the top. And the advantage of Tenurial is that it doesn't negligee S. I think it's still justifiable, though. I mean, it's considered kind of a 0.6 mistake by Sim, but I guess if you raise the R up here, then the R and the E do exist as floaters for other 8s to go through the top. That could be something that potentially makes a difference. I was definitely thinking about the Tenurial placement with parallels to the T as a hook, but you will notice, of course, that if you do bingo out of that, you definitely give back the triple on the top lane. So maybe if you're thinking about the second lane that you're opening up top as being floating the R and the E for 8s instead, I can kind of see the justification for that. Then Retinula will, of course, take the S and the E down below as well, so it have more possibilities for following up below. But yeah, very minor little optimization there, though, it seems. Okay, so I needed to get out of trouble at this point. I went for this placement. And I was concerned that this would block up too much, but we ended up blocking that side anyway. So yeah, and none of these possibilities are great. You'll notice our win percentage is pretty low at this point, although it's about halfway through the bag, so lots of possibilities do exist. And then, of course, we got punished for opening the triple like that. This was considered a medium mistake. It actually does significantly prefer the Q in this spot. Again, I was a little paranoid about blocking off the lanes on the left side, but I guess this gives too much backup here, and this flat out scores more as well. And then some other placements simulate somewhat similarly. I was definitely looking at this spot here with the S as well, but I really didn't think that was good. As in, I didn't think it was a good play. So here, I didn't really know what to do. I actually don't know what my justification was for going with this placement rather than up high, given that this doesn't really give you any more room on the I anyway. You can't really play through the I anymore even after this. So a more defensive placement might have been justified here. Or the difference in 2 points. And then I is best here. Pretty clearly best, actually. About 3% in win percentage. And yeah, this was a bingo miss, anomalous. And here, this is interesting. That at this point I was concerned about running out of time to deal with the one and only remaining bingo lane on the left side because we just haven't been drawing well into it. But the sim actually likes this. That it's estimating that I am going to draw into a bingo. Very likely, highly likely, you're looking at kind of 60%, 64% here. Just given my rack in the pool. But of course, the problem is that that lane is disappearing quickly, and it does in fact disappear with Alcate. Which the sim likes slightly better on the other placements. Maybe because you only have one A floating for things like chancers rather than two A's. Now, it's saying at this point that my only winning route that it sees with any kind of non-zero win percentage is through this play here. C and Z. Notice that that would take an H on the end to hit for quite a few points. So I actually don't really see what a justification is there, but is it thinking that I want to draw the H? As we turned out to discover after this play, the H actually is in the bag at this point. But the H isn't going to catch at this point. Like, you definitely need some kind of bingo draw. And I'm not sure which miracle draw it's seeing for the 6.3%. Unfortunately, this UI isn't going to give me enough information for that. Maybe the full Macondo command line can let me test that out. And then, yeah, Zarnex was significantly preferred, but at this point it's lost, so. Yeah. Well, okay, so I don't know that we really did have a decent route there, I guess. But yeah, I actually wound up maybe playing better than I thought I did in this game, considering that it was over 100-point loss. Let's look at the last one. Okay, so this one, I had a couple of disaster plays in the mid-game after my opponent returned from the network issues. So I don't expect this will come out very well. We'll just look at the table here first. Yeah, I missed hail right off the bat, so things just did not go well. Indie refs, like an independence referendum. Fantastic word, actually. It's got to be an independence referendum. It's funny because we played Devo later, which of course was something that was coming up very often during the Scottish indie ref. Fantastic word. We have to kind of remember that. But anyway, we found phase over here. Yeah, some of the FI possibilities were fine as well. I kind of wanted to score with the Y, which is why I didn't consider some of these other ones. Anyway, we'll scroll through this pretty quickly so I can actually look at what the sim says. Devotion as an extension, that's interesting. Yeah, because at this point, I kind of wonder how badly some of my small plays are doing. Because we get way too fishy on this, particularly with that fish one on the A, like that. I wonder how bad it was relative to other things we could have done. Amazing that tin comes out so well on the equity table just because nothing we have here scores decently. But we'll have to see what the sim says about that one. 2 spots for largest. I did think about the S hook on sedge there, but yeah, so I don't think we actually missed big plays with the W that would have hits on wedge. I was concerned that maybe we missed some big possibility there, but it seems that we truly didn't draw something. Oh, forgot about kedge. Of course, kedge is good. See, that's why we need to kind of get back to reviewing some of the high fives. And kedge is good in both Lexica. I was so fixated on the W going there, I didn't really even consider the K. And we should have easily seen crate. And then past that point, well, we basically play what we can, but greenier or greedier, it doesn't matter. And yeah, things just kind of blow up at the end. So yeah, just a really bad mid-game end time, but let's see how bad. We'll go back to the first turn and switch over to the full display. That's sort of interesting that it actually gave me a pretty high ELO estimate for this game and considered my mistakes small. I thought we did poorly, but I guess it might have been the possibility that I was just unlucky on the fishes, that maybe some of them do sim well if you have the word knowledge to really take advantage of the possible space of draws. And we just didn't draw well. Unbundle and untune. Where was unbundle? Yeah, indie residency, of course. Fantastic word. Interestingly enough, phase is not down by very much. In fact, it doesn't even score that much less. It only scores 12 points less. And so it actually comes out much closer to the bingo play than you would think, which is interesting. And yeah, here, I mean, I lose focus a little bit because we spend so much time just waiting for my opponent. But this turned out to be optimal. And then prefers playing off more tiles here, or a non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment rather. I've seen this word in Scrabble so many times, I didn't actually know that's what it meant. And so the fish A is actually just considered a small mistake, 2.5% in win rate. Yeah, again, I was thinking that we'd open up a second spot for something like an R that it was holding, and then we would have different lanes available for a bingo draw. And we just didn't have a good draw out of that. So, interestingly enough, it considers my play here to be within optimality, within 0.2. Atom being another possibility here. But at that point, my bias was towards trying to open space, and so the idea was that you would be holding the A and a lot of consonants that would go safely under LO in case I wanted a bottom lane, since I'm so close to a bingo draw. So here, for example, it's saying that I've got 58% bingo chance. And previously, was it saying when I fished the A? It was telling me 71% bingo chance. And of course, neither one materialized. And actually, tin was considered optimal here. And yeah, favors some longer plays. Bendari, the B up top doesn't really feel particularly open, but I guess this area is getting a little bit blocked anyway. Interestingly, the B is so difficult to play to with the A and the O being the only things going there that actually it kind of defends this lane here that would potentially end in an S on Sedge. Like, you see, this doesn't open, but this actually kind of shuts this off for a little while where it's awkward to play here. And so it actually opens the board by securing this spot in a roundabout way. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. And that's true for both Bendari and Bandit there. Anyway, I was continuing to build up here with Bin. And the thing is that bingo chances are not looking good at this point. They're steadily disappearing just from lack of space on the board to work with. So what was this turn here? Yeah, at this point, it's kind of favoring opening up a little bit. Very small difference, though. But then again, this is one of the issues, is that the win percentage is so small at this point that everything looks like a small mistake because you're within that bound between 0% and 1% win, right? So I think it's kind of describing it as a small mistake, but we should not be misled by that. It's more that we're so far behind at this point that everything looks close when it comes to the suboptimality and win percentage. So yeah, we're still kind of looking. I actually didn't really even see. Oh, you know what? The reason that it's favoring Wax there is also because it's thinking that keeping the K leads to a play over here for Kedge. And of course, I was kind of blind to the possibility of Kedge there, so that didn't wind up being any good. In fact, this was the turn where Crate was available, but Wax is actually going to come out ahead a little bit here. But the idea is that, you know, you kill the top right spot, you score with it, and then K plays are still available on Kedge. Anyway, Roji here. Yeah, at this point, though, I mean, keeping IRR is obviously not great. Roji doesn't do too much to kill the R lane, because the thing is, you'd still want an ER ending anyway, in all likelihood. Or even if you had an OR, AR ending, that still fits. And so that really doesn't make possibilities to the R up there any worse. Then what do we have here? That's interesting. That, well, I mean, there's a 100% win rate either way, but I guess by just a raw equity calculation, the sim is favoring reg over careers, which you can't take that too seriously, I think, at this point, with this being a pre-end game analysis with the win percentage at 100% as well. That it's saying, though, that a reg path with 3 in the bag with the pre-end game analysis is coming out to 12 points better, though. Because maybe it's a tempo thing where, you know, you play off reg, then it forces 1 in the bag, and then careers almost certainly still stays available. Well, not careers, but whatever you draw into that as a very likely bingo, 52.5%. Would still be able to go down after and secure the win. And yeah, I mean, I have to play it, so. So yeah, the analyzers seem to like my play on the losses better than I did. But Well, at least we got some games in today because unfortunately this event was kind of a total wash when it came to all the dropouts and other messes. But technically, these are the standings that we wound up in a group after the dust settled. It's too bad about that 1 second loss on time, and it's too bad about the 2 forfeit wins kind of inflating my numbers here, but we made it out in the end, I guess. Anyway, we're going to end here. Thank you so much for joining me. And we'll have to hopefully come into a better session the next time we manage to get on stream for one of these. As far as raids go, we already have a target picked out. It is going to be more Scrabble. We'll send you over there in just a moment. Thanks so much for watching. And we'll probably be doing something new this coming week. I'm trying to figure out what's actually going to fit in the schedule because a couple of new releases are going to hit us pretty hard in late May. But we'll see what's available. So there's a double stream, a cooperative stream going on right now between the 2 top content creators in the Scrabble scene. They're together casting a live over-the-board tournament that is taking place in England, the MGI International. It's going to be a very high level of play. It's already the 3rd day of play on their stream over there, and you'll see much better Scrabble than you did over here today, so I'll be very happy to pass you over. Have fun over there, and until we meet again for more games of all sorts, have a wonderful time with everything that you may be playing or making or otherwise doing, and above all, fare thee well.